A few people have messaged me asking what my first instrument was, so I thought I'd answer that today, and as you've probably already gathered from the title, it was the guitar, and more specifically, the classical guitar. Nah, just kidding. As I've spent the last 2 years working on Twice Above the Atlantic with Marcus, this allowed me to revisit my first instrument, as the whole album featured mostly folk and indie style guitar with orchestral elements. It was such a great time working on something so different from my usual work, and this allowed me to reintroduce myself to my first instrument. I thought it would be fun to revisit my guitars, with a few guests from Marcus's collection too. There is such a huge variation in characteristics and personalities that different types of guitars offer, and how they have their unique sounds, tones and styles. Guitars come in all shapes and sizes, looks, design and characteristics. If you can think of any type of wooden material, someone has probably made a guitar out of it at some point. Some being practical, and some being whatever this is. So, without further ado, let's explore some guitars and have some fun. Grab your tea, coffee and kombucha, it's probably going to be quite a long video. To start off, here's one of my favourite songs from my childhood. Modern guitars are made with all sorts of woods, but the standard classical guitar is normally mahogany back and sides and a cedar or spruce top with rosewood fingerboard. Cedar has a slightly more mellow tonality and it allows it to complement the nylon strings a bit more, and spruce tends to sound a bit more snappier and trebly, which is why it's the industry standard for steel-stringed guitars. My steel-string acoustic guitar is a rosewood back and sides with a spruce top. There are two main types of body shapes on a steel string acoustic guitar. Okay, there's actually a shed loads, but I guess I'm going to save me going down this deep Google rabbit hole and we'll just stick with the two that I've always used. The orchestral body, which is a smaller body type more traditionally used for folk styles, and the Dreadnought, a more modern shape that is larger in size and produces a slightly more booming and bassier tone. This is used a lot more in singer-songwriter strumming and chord strumming. The Dreadnought was invented and made popular in the 1910s by Martin Guitars, I believe. The two guitars here are the guitars that we used on the Twice Above the Atlantic album. The walnut orchestral body was used for the more folk fingerstyle pieces, And when we needed something a bit bassier and boomier, we used the Dreadnought. Steel string acoustic guitars are more a modern form of a traditional classical guitar with higher tension strings. Classical guitars use nylon strings as a recreation of gut strings. Nylon keep the tone and tuning a lot easier than gut, and you don't have to ruin a cow's day to get them either. There is one guitar type I haven't mentioned yet, and that is of course the electric guitar. If I could describe the electric guitar in a sentence, it would be sheer amount of tonal range. Clean, distorted, reverberant, ambient, all of the above. With effects, there really is limitless possibilities. Electric guitars produce their sound via amplification and electronics. With electric guitars, it doesn't really affect the tonality, the type of woods, or even the body shape to a degree. People have made electric guitars out of skateboards and even pencils. I would have thought the weight of a Fender, they make the guitar out of a collapsing star, or maybe even just lead. But I was quite surprised to hear they actually make it out of alderwood. Alderwood? Alderwood? Alder? The Fender was also used quite a lot on the more electronic tracks featured in Twice Above the Atlantic. So with that, it was time to have a trip down to Marcus's to do some work on Twice Above the Atlantic, and also visit a dear friend of mine and steal his guitars to buff my own YouTube videos out. Hey look, it's the Orchestral Body that we spoke about earlier. There is also guitars with different numbers of strings. Some guitars have 5, 7, 8, 9, but for now, here's the second most common behind a 6 string, a 12 string. The double stringed are tuned an octave apart from each other. And here's a kind of guitarist version of a dulcimer. I'm not sure if it fits into the guitar family, but it sure is fun. I also have a bass.